Daylight breaks over the ridge. The hounds strike. No crowds, no cameras, just a track and the hounds that bring the story to life. That's what this show's about. Dogs, dirt roads, early mornings, and the people who live it. This is Creekside Chronicles. Hounds, hunting, and heritage. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, houndsman, hunter, and a lifelong student of the outdoors. Here, we chase more than game. We chase knowledge about hounds, hunting, and living the outdoor life the right way. From bear country to back roads, this is where the hunt meets heart, and every story runs a different trail. So pull up your chair by the creek, leash up your best hound, and let's get after it together. Performance starts in the feed. Inukshuk's high-fat content fuels long runs and hard hunts, giving dogs the steady energy they need, while quality protein supports faster recovery after the work is done. That's why I trust Inukshuk dog food. Packed with energy and nutrition dogs need to go further, run harder, and recover stronger. If you want extreme performance, you can look them up at Inukshuk Professional Dog Food or CoreyNutrition.com. Welcome back to another episode of Creekside Chronicles. The weather's breaking. It's starting to warm up a little bit. Thank the Lord. The grass is starting to dry. My yard was like a sponge for 3 or 4 days. Still got a little bit of snow laying in the shadows, but it's all good. We are going to get away from the legislative stuff this week, and we're going to go back to the oats. But we all know that 770 passed, which made trespass by hunting a Class 1 misdemeanor. I told you why that was important, because if you get convicted of a Class 1 hunting violation, you lose your license for a year. And we know that 1396 went through pretty much unscathed. It appeared that there was some behind-the-door deals made with that because they didn't let everybody talk. It was pretty much a done deal, and they pushed it on up to a full vote. Probably not going to make much difference in the House because it's 64 to 46, but in the Senate it's a lot closer. So we have to continue on and try to make it known that we don't approve. So that's that for the legislative part. Like I said, it's been overwhelming trying to keep up with it, trying to keep everybody up to date and informed. There's several different Facebook sites that are doing the same. So, yeah, keep calling, keep emailing, keep talking, and hopefully by the time it gets to the Senate, we can either make some amendments that we can live with, or we can get it shot down. All right, back to old Wiley Coyote. We skipped a week on it. And I'll just kind of go back over that really quick. I kind of set the stage for why it's so hard to break our dogs off of the coyotes. Because it's a lot like a bear race. I mean, they run hot. It's fast. Lots of scent. Lots of movement. Lots of reward for the dog. You know, coyotes use the same area. Dogs with high drive really, really like to chase. And that's the dogs that we want in our bear packs. So a lot of those similarities make it extremely difficult to break the dogs off of them, and or why the dogs want to run them. So let's just go through a couple things on the breaking part. Like, you've heard me say in podcasts, I say it all the time, that timing is everything. And I've picked up some new dogs within our canine group, and I noticed in the couple times that I have been with them that timing is a huge issue. Even the rewards, timing of the reward. So we're always a little late on that. And the same thing goes for the correction. Like after the race is already fun, it's not really a correction. You know, it's too late. The dog does not connect the correction to the coyote. And I'm going to get into that here in just a little bit. Inconsistency. Dog training is all about consistency. But what happens, and I'm guilty of this, like this is me. This is where I struggle in the training aspect of it. And again, because it's so hard to understand which game they're running. Like if we're not consistent, sometimes I give them a correction, whether it's a stem or not, whether it's a tone or whatever. Other times I ignore it because I'm not quite sure what's going on. And for me, I want to be 100% sure. We've talked about that. So the dogs learn that, okay, I can take this risk. Like, there's a chance that I'm going to get away with it. So inconsistency is hard. Pack mentality. Like, it only takes one dog to start this. And the rest of the pack is going to join most of the time because it's a pack, right? The dogs that wouldn't run a coyote alone, and I'm in this boat right now, like they're not going to do it on their own. But you let my culprit start this, they're going to get some. That's the pack mentality. Exposure. We are consistently exposing our dogs to coyotes, whether you know it or not. Like everywhere we hunt bear, there are usually coyotes. And you hear me talk about ring, back in the early 2000s, up to the 2013 was the last time that he was under a bear. We didn't have the amount of coyotes we had now, and that scoundrel will still get after one here and there. Nowadays, with as thick as they are, I don't know that I could have kept him off of them. But he loved to run. He loved to chase. And a lot of times we talk about that chase being what drives the dog. Like my dogs don't really care about the ending of it. They're invested in that chase and catch. So exposure. We all are constantly hunting in coyote-rich environments. And I just talked about it like handler hesitation. Like, am I correcting them on the right thing? Am I correcting them off the wrong thing? You don't accidentally allow a dog to run a coyote. You don't accidentally make a coyote dog. You allow it by not doing the timing, the inconsistent, checking your pack. We continually hunt in areas. So, anyway. So let's talk about the bad habits. Breaking on sight instead of scent. I've seen a lot of posts over the last couple of months about let the dog get started and then burn him up. Let the dog get started and burn him up. Guys, listen. There's always a way. It's not the way. But I will tell you, when that dog gets into that odor and starts opening and moving that track, you have put him from neutral to drive. If I'm in neutral, I can tap the brakes and I'm usually not moving. But if I'm in drive and I'm moving at 55 miles an hour, it takes me a little while to slow down. So, if you can correct the dog in odor, not drive, it's going to be more meaningful and it's going to take less time and less stimulation. Once you put that dog into drive and let him chase, it's twice as hard and takes twice as long. So please understand that. Like, break off of the scent. But, here's a big thing that we get, sometimes we get too antsy about. Like, I had a coyote cross the road on me, or Garrett had a coyote cross the road on him. So he calls me, tells me where it's at. I go find it. I put my dogs down. I let them sort it out. I don't just, soon as they do it. Like, I'm letting them make the decision. But I did it one at a time. I didn't turn 4 loose. Okay? I did it where I could control it. And I let them sort it out. I had one that smelt it and turned around and come back. Now, if I'm in the breaking mode of that, I had already worked on this a little bit with this dog. I wanted her to make that decision. She smelt it, she turned, she didn't fool with it. I took out the second dog that I hadn't. As soon as they showed me a behavioral change and that they were in odor, low stem. And then I continued on through the pack. So I want the dogs that I've worked on to make those decisions, and then I'm going to reward that good decision, and I'm going to correct the bad decision. But that's all a part of the breaking process. Where are you at in it? Correcting the whole pack instead of the starter. Again, I have this problem. I've got one that I told you about in the last podcast with the Yotes, that I took him out of the equation and I didn't have any problems the rest of the year. I had to put him up. And it's hard because he's one of my better trail dogs. But I could not continue to have my young dogs be exposed to that. So I made that decision to separate. One thing that I can understand, and it's just my thought process, is letting my young dogs go unsupervised. And what that means is I'm letting my 6 and 8 and 10-month-old dogs run loose and let them make the decisions themselves, when it's just like having your child. Okay, I'm going to give you this big decision to make, knowing that they're going to make the wrong decisions, like sticking your hand in a cookie jar, right? So for me, I'm going to take my young dogs and I'm going to control that environment until I get them on the right game, get them moving in the right direction, and then I can start letting them have some decision-making opportunities. And I will let my young dogs run loose until they start running off game. And as soon as they do, all right, I know you're going, I put them up, or I put them back on the lead or whatever and go from there. So, that's another thing. Before correcting it, you have to know that it's a coyote. And that is so hard when you're free casting dogs and they're up the holler in front of you and they strike. But one of the commonalities is usually they start out pretty good. They just don't start trailing. Although I did have that happen to me in December. They trailed up and over a good ridge out of my hearing, and that's what it was. But again, that was the dog that I was having issues with. So, expecting one correction to fix the habit, it is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. So this takes time. This is a process. Like for me, I'm in that process right now. I'm checking dogs that are not starting it, giving them some opportunities. If they make the wrong decision, then okay, I do some correction. I've got the other dog that is really bad, and I've got a couple things that I'm going to do to help work with that. But catch it early. If you can recognize it, you have to know what it is. And I will tell you, if you have a seasoned dog and you make a couple of mistakes correcting that dog, like, all right, I applied stimulation and it was actually a bear. I applied stimulation and it was actually a bear. Your seasoned dogs, you're not going to break them in making a couple of mistakes. Okay? I use this analogy in detection work a lot. Like, if you make a mistake with your detection dog, hey, it took us 6 to 8 weeks to imprint that dog on that odor. It didn't happen overnight. So I'm not going to break him off of that odor with one or two bad corrections or a mistake that I made. And you've got to put that into your breaking process with the coyotes. So you got to be consistent every coyote every time, which brings, I mean, that is a challenge within itself. Okay, one free pass, you just reset yourself and you're starting over basically. So break out the individuals that are starting it, work on them first. You know, don't let the pack mentality like hide the problem. Okay, I've got 5 dogs. No, I don't. I got one that is a bad apple. I got another one that is turning in that direction, and the rest of mine go along to get along, pack. And I'm gonna work on it. You know, one of the things about correcting, and there's a couple different ways to do this, so we'll get into it. Is I put up a trail camera in high traffic areas, and I was trying to catch those coyotes coming through those high traffic areas, so I could go know 100% when I put my dog in this path, or I put my dog on this point, that there's nothing else there. It was a coyote, and then I can start watching for the behavior change, or if they take off, I can make those corrections. So the trail camera are a big assistance for that. Tracks in the snow, that's another way to do it. Your buddies see one crossing the road, that's another way to do it. So there's a couple ways to be after it, but it takes some. I mean, this is not just ride around the mountain and hope you get lucky. Like, this takes some time and effort. And like I said, I moved cameras. I had 2 cameras out. I moved one camera numerous times because I wasn't picking up what I thought I needed to pick up. And now that season's over, I've actually stopped. Okay, well, Heath, why have you stopped? You still got a problem. Well, because I can't go put my dog on the game that I want them to run, a bear, right now because our season's over. So I do all this work on breaking these dogs off of coyotes, and now I can't put them back on the right game. So August rolls around and our season's back in. I mean, I've literally 7 months they've sat dormant, and it's going to restart the process, if that makes sense what I'm saying. So you've got to be able to make a correction, and then put them on the game that you want them to run. And make sure that that's exactly what you're putting them on. Even if it means you're taking that seasoned dog and putting him on a race, not letting him start it. Or, you know, making sure that that track crossed the road, or are you seeing what you're actually running. I mean, that taking that couple of minutes or taking that time to make sure that you're giving the correct guidance to that dog will be very, very important. And again, you know, a week or two of very strategic placement of that dog and where he puts it will guide you through the whole season. Even though we feel like we're not making the ground that we want, you're making big steps. So I have stopped. I can't go put my dogs back on a bear. So right now we just in reset mode. Like, I got them a couple times at the end of season, and I'm gonna wait it out until season comes in. And then once season comes in, I'm gonna start working on it again. So breaking coyotes isn't about punishment, it's about clarity. It's about, okay, I want you to run this and I don't want you to run that. So a couple things that are hard, or let's say, all right, well, we've gotten on to the end of that, the tail end of this. It may be too late. You know, dogs that self-reward. We talk about that a lot in our training. Like our patrol dogs, our apprehension dogs, sometimes they get frustrated, or they just want to do what they do, and they just bite anybody and everybody. So You're not letting me do what I want to do, so I'll take it into my hands and I'll reward myself by biting the first person I come to. The same thing with a coyote, running a coyote. Like, I'm out. Oh, I'll just run it. I want to run something. And we all say that. We all say, I really don't have this problem until later in the season. All right, when they start coming, the females start coming in heat. They're traveling more. We haven't treated a bear in a week or so, or the weather conditions are bad. And then now all of a sudden I'm having it. So they're self-rewarding. Guys, there's some dogs that just prefer running over treeing. I've had a couple of those dogs over the past that they just want to run. Not every dog deserves limited chances. Like, you got a dog that's on up in age and it continues to do this, and you've worked on it and it continues to do this. What are you willing to tolerate, I guess? So let's go to the prevention side of it. Start your pups right. Make sure that you've got an eye on them and don't give them a lot of opportunities to go in this direction. Controlled exposure. Let's just use that term, controlled exposure. Early corrections, but I don't want to correct off the wrong game and not have them on the right game first. We got to put them on. The dog has to have an understanding and clarity that it's okay for me to run this. And then we can start giving that clarity. It's not okay for me to run that. So we got to give them clarity. Like, we got to make sure that they understand. And that goes back to just don't letting the young dogs run free. Like, I know a lot of people do that and they sort it out. And yes, a lot of your dogs will age out. 3, 4, 5 years old. If you've got fairly straight dogs and they don't participate in your young dog's escapades, a lot of times they'll just sort it out on their own. So, coyotes are extremely hard. They're extremely hard. It's been very frustrating for me because it took me half a season. Well, it didn't take me half a season. It took me that week to figure out what was going on. And like I said, once I displaced the dog that was causing most of my problems, I didn't have those problems the rest of the year. Tried to work on it. I didn't really get a chance to work on him because I left him at home, but the other dogs I checked and made sure, and we're gonna roll on with it. And just remember, this is a process. It's not going to be fixed in one time. And if I can drive anything home for you guys to listen to, once that dog is in drive, and I've said it over and over and over, it's 10 times easier to break a dog off a scent when they start than it is once you put them into motion. Adrenaline goes up, drive goes up, the stimulation has to go up, and once they're invested in that race, once they're invested in it, all you're doing is stopping them. That's it. That's all you're doing. You're not giving them clarity. They don't understand, well, I've just run this 200, 400, half a mile, and now I'm getting this stimulation. What am I getting this for? Like, I have no clue what's going on. So try to stop them when that odor's first present. But on the second hand of that, you have to understand some of your dogs need to sort it out. Like, some of your older dogs, let them see what they're going to do. And if they take those couple of steps forward and act, you're going to see a behavioral change in their body. You're going to see their demeanor. You're going to see their tail set. You're going to see their body change, more excited. You're going to see things in their body that's telling you, oh yeah, here we go. And that's when you do the correction. A dog that's just checking out odor, and we do that a lot in our tracking stuff. Like, we know that, let's just use a fire hydrant. There's all kinds of dogs use a fire hydrant as a marking tool, right? And everybody comes by that and touches it. Dogs pee on it. And my dog goes over to it, and he's sorting through those 50,000 odors. And then he goes on about back to his business. It's kind of the same thought process. Some dogs need to sort through it. When they start making that forward motion, and then I just need to tap, 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 or a small, consistent stimulation to give them reinforcement is, no, we don't really want to fool with this. So, trail cameras work. Actually seeing them would be a great thing. I've got a couple other things that I'm working on that I'm going to try, and if they work out, they will. I will tell you this, that I have found that some of my older dogs will, if you set them up 2 or 3 times, dogs are smart. If you set them up 2 or 3 times and you dump them out and put them in that odor, like, it don't take them very many times to figure out, like, ooh, I'm being set up, and they're not going to do anything about it because they're outsmarting you. But then the next time you go to the woods and you're walking up that creek bed, or you're walking up that holler, or out that old logging road, that's not a setup. That's a normal hunting environment. So you have to understand that once them dogs figure you out, you're going to have to change your routine or change what you're doing to change the environment for the dog, so you can continue those corrections, or so on or so forth. So just remember this. Coyotes are fun. That's why it makes it harder to break. Most of the failures are human timing and consistency issues. Breaking is a process. It's not an event. And you can't make a perfect hound. But we can make one that's honest. It's going to be a wrap for this episode of Creekside Chronicles. We appreciate you spending your time with us, whether you're in the truck, in the woods, or sitting by the creek listening along. Thank you for walking this trail with us. And thank you to W Supply for hosting the podcast and supporting what we do. Be sure to check them out and go to wsupply.com for all of your hound needs. Until next time, keep your dogs fed right, your boots muddy, and we'll see you down the trail.
Tailgate drops before the light, coolers packed and the rig sitting right, tracking collars charged, beeping green, boots in the bed and the rifle's clean. Dog box rattling, engines hum, we're chasing bear till the day is done. Old ring barking like he knows what's near, nose to the wind, tail full of cheer. From the Virginia mountains to the Carolina clay, we're burning fuel and miles each day. Every turn's another tale, through mountain mist and paper trails. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York forest, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Rest stops few, the roads are long, but the fire in our hearts still burns strong. Wisconsin mornings cutting crisp and clear, Canada's wildwoods drawing near. Still got states we ain't run, but that hound dog fever won't let us quit. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fall in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York frost, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Gas station coffee Alpha XL on the dash. Another back road, another bear track. Friends made fast and stories told slow. Under stars where only hunters go. We see the sunrise gold in Canadian air, and it sets on a trail down in Appalachia. Packing steel and leather, grit and care. We're built for the road and chasing bear. So load the dogs and slam the gate. There's a trail ahead, we won't be late. From dawn to dusk, we're always there. Chasing daylight, chasing them bears.